today I'm going to be showing off all of my generals' builds, perks, their stats. I'm going to show off my Elite 4 stats as well, and all my ribbon collections and things like that. I'm doing this video because it's a big thank you for helping me get to 1,000 subscribers. I've been doing this for just less than a year. I never really thought I would actually make it to this level, but I'm thankful to everyone who has subscribed, and if you're not subscribed then please do. But let's get into this video. I hope you enjoy it, and yeah. Okay, so I do have a lot of generals, so I'm going to try and make this swift. I've got a lot of free-to-play generals and some that I've actually purchased, but I'll show you my general builds. I will disclaimer now though that some of these builds might not be perfect and the most optimal, but I think the majority are definitely the best builds. Now I've got Guderian here, he's an absolute monster. Make sure this guy is your #1 priority. Got Inferior Victory and Inspiration on him. All level 5 medals. And I've got these 3 on him. Now if I wasn't doing free to play videos I would get rid of that and add that. But this is how I rock them for the free to play videos. For the free to play videos I don't use these 3 as you have to purchase those, and it's not fair if I use them. We then have Rommel, who's another beast. Using Panzer Leader and Inspiration on him. I don't really like Inferior Victory on him, I don't think it works. And Inspiration, it's one of the best perks in the game. But yeah, that's Rommel. I'm going to try to get these through a bit quicker. Now we've got Bok. Now he's not strictly free to play, which is why I try to avoid using him. But I've got Armored Assault and Inspiration on him. I use the old portrait. I don't mind the new one, I'll just try the old one out for a bit. We got Monty. We've got Inspiration and Armored Assault on him. I used to try Inferior Victory, but I think Inspiration just is better. And we've got these 2 medals on him. We got Bastico. He's probably one of my last choice tankers along with Pavlov. We got Inspiration on him. Pavlov, he's just a rumour guy. He does a good job though. Don't overlook Pavlov. He's definitely more useful than you think. Now, artillery wise, we have Konev. Now, if he didn't have radar, if he had something else like I can't actually think of anything off the top of my head, but he could be a lot better. I mean, he already is arguably the best artillery in the game. He's on par with Zhukov. We've got these 2 on him. You don't really need any others. Don't bother putting the Raider medal on, as a Raider is a completely useless skill for him. We've got Brook. He's just a bit worse than Konev, because he doesn't have the biography obviously, but he is also an amazing general. Now you'll notice that my tanks had a lot better ribbons than my artilleries. I haven't managed to fully upgrade them all yet. We've got De Gaulle. I also don't use him in the free-to-play ones because he's not technically free-to-play yet. But I've got Artillery Leader and Inspiration on him. He's quite a full general to use. I think I do like the new portrait, but I'm going to just rock with the old one for now. We've got Lieb. It's pretty bog standard. You just got to put accuracy on him. And Weidling. I've got Inferior Victory, but I don't actually think that's the most optimal perk. I think Inspiration's probably better, but I don't really have the money to switch it right now. Well, I do, but I don't want to switch it right now. He's not really the biggest of my concerns. I mean, he's quite far down the pecking order. I could even sell him, but I'll keep him for now. Now, let's look at my infantry. I actually really like this guy. I wasn't too sure about him when he was released because he was quite far down the conquest thing, but I was very happy when I actually got him and started using him. I didn't realise how powerful he would be. These perks are very strong, and this is the best build for him that you can get. That's Malinovsky. We've got Runestead. Now, my explanation is the same with him as the other 2, but I'm running Raider and Inferior Victory on him. You'll see my infantry ribbons aren't as good as the previous ones. It's because the war zone that I'm spinning on doesn't quite work for this. But anyway, Maretsov, he's just rumour. I use him on the Brandenburgers because he can double rumour people, which is very effective. Anyway, that's so far you'll have seen that I've got a lot of level 5 ribbons, but my navy isn't as strong. I haven't focused at all on naval ribbons. I think the navy is one of the least impactful areas of the game. They can be useful, but a lot of my videos are conquest videos, and the navy isn't that important. It's more important to just wipe the land units off the map. This is my Yamaguchi build though. I've seen people use inspiration on him and sailor rather than inferior victory. I mean, fleet leader is a must-have, but people debate whether you should have inferior victory on. I prefer having it, but that's my build. Now, some of people will question these builds. In fact, I don't actually know why Darlan's behind doing it, but this is my Darlan build. Some people will not agree with Wolfpack, and by all means you can use inspiration and sailor if you want. I use Wolfpack, I just prefer it, and Dunitz is pretty similar. I wouldn't use early warning, by the way. I'm planning on getting rid of that at some point, and I would probably switch it out for inspiration. I wouldn't use this sort of perk, but yeah, early warning is not the best perk, but I'm not too bothered because he's not that important to me. And we've got good old Horton, who has rumour. Now, I will need to say this, I haven't fully done Yamamoto up. The Imperial Eagle's only level 5. I had to spend a lot of my command points on upgrading the other guys, because I do spend, it's obvious that I spend some money on this game, but I don't want to just overspend. It sort of just ruins the fun. So I try and earn medals and then trade for them. It's quite tedious, but yeah, that's why Yamamoto isn't max level. But this is my build for him. I use him on the helicopters, so that's why I've got inferior victory and inspiration on him. He's a very, very useful general. He's become a lot more useful, and he's been reutilized with the introduction of the helicopters. We've got Chenault. This is actually the GOAT, best eco in general. I go full eco. You can use him as an air general. That's completely fair enough. And then you could use Nimitz and Rundstedt as your ecos. Well, maybe not Rundstedt anymore, but yeah. Chenault, beast. We have the actual GOAT Dowding. He's a good eco gen. And then we got the free boys. I'm not going to go through them. They have nothing on them. And yeah, that's all the free-to-play ones. And we'll go look at the in-app purchaser ones then. Now, I do want to say, I don't recommend buying any generals, but I'm not going to have a go at you if you do. I think there's a lot of people, it's quite a toxic community on, I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying this, on like Reddit and Discord, and they sort of just, they seem to hate on people who buy generals, and I mean, you're allowed to spend your money on whatever you want. It's part of the fun of the game. Like, you know, if you don't spend any money, you might never own a general like Zhukov, and you might really like Zhukov. So I think there's a balance between, you know, spending money on the game because you actually enjoy it, and then it's because you're lazy. And I think the reason people get a lot of hate is because it makes the game just so much easier, and it's not as much of a grind as these people who've never spent a penny. But I don't really care. A lot of these generals I buy because I just want to show them off in videos, and they just make conquests easier. It makes the videos a lot easier for me, and because I just enjoy using new generals. I get really bored in the free-to-play videos of using these guys all the time. I much prefer using the fun generals. So I wanted to say that just before, but I definitely don't recommend buying any unless you need to, because you can beat the game without these people. But we'll go look at them anyway. Now, this is the GOAT of all generals. He's the best general by a mile, Manstein. I don't know if they're ever going to release a general who's actually better than him. I'm running Inspiration and Inferior Victory on him at the moment. If I was to actually use him, I would use the Cross Medal, the Hero Medal, and the Excellence Medal. But yeah, he's amazing. I'll show you my stats in a bit, and you'll see how excellent he is. You'll also notice that I've maxed out all these guys to Marshal level. I don't want to talk about the money spent, but there has been a lot of money spent. Katukov, he's just a defensive general really. fortification and fighting spirit for him. He sort of just sits on cities and holds them. He's very, very good for that. He's also quite a cheap general. If you're going to consider purchasing him, just know he's not going to be one of your big hitters, but he'll be able to survive a lot of hits, so he could be quite useful in the conquest ones or any level where you just need to hold something, like a defensive event. We then have Zhukov, who's arguably the best artillery general in the game. Some people say Konev's better. I'm not fully sure. I know Konev has the like 100% critical attack, but Zhukov is very fun to use. Inspiration and Inferior Victory on that boy. We got Marshal. He's a very fun general to use because he can have two other units attack with him. So when you have Marshal, then maybe like Simo and Malinovsky, it's just a crazy attack. But yeah, Raider and Infantry Leader on him, it's not worth putting Inferior Victory on, I don't believe. Now, by the way, I'd say that all of these four actually are okay purchases. Probably not Zhukov, but Manstein, he is the best general by a mile. Marshall's quite fun, and Ketukov, but Eisenhower is one of the worst ones you can buy. He doesn't excel at much. He's not better than anyone else in the game. And the perks that you start off with aren't very good. Like, Depot Ship's useless, but it's you can either use him for an air general or a naval general. But only one of your first three perks are going to work. You could probably use them on carriers, but that's about it. That's Eisenhower. Now, we've got some tasty generals coming up. Abrams. Some people think that he's the best general in the game. I think that's a load of shit. I definitely don't think he's the best general in the game. I've used him plenty, and he just doesn't compare to Manstein. Because the whole idea of, oh yeah, you can travel far and then do a big attack is just stupid, because a lot of World Conqueror 4 is just fighting in small little groups, surrounded by lots of units. So I don't really get the huge hype that Abrams has. I do think he might be better than the rest of these generals, but I definitely think Tolbukin has something to say because he's amazing. This is one of my favourite purchases I've ever made. Yeryomenko is not bad either, but Tolbukin is just so fun, especially with this armoured army group perk. Very, very fun. So is Chernikovsky. He's also a very fun general with this blasting impact. You'll have seen in my recent Soviet Union video. These two were a deadly combo. They've been releasing some fun generals for a little while. Now we've got Wittmann, also known as Shitman. If you think he's the best general in the game, then you're an idiot. He's simply not. You cannot have Tide of Iron as one of your perks and be considered the best general in the game. It's just a joke. He can deal large amounts of damage to some of the big units, but World Conqueror 4 is an all-round game. You know, you've got to attack the normal units as well. So he doesn't quite balance up to Manstein. And by the way, this isn't in order of who I think's best. I mean, I think all four of these are okay, but Wittmann, he's not the best general. Kluger as well. I used to think he might be the best. They both have a very similar perk, but he's also not. He is very fun to use, though. He is a very effective general. All his perks do work well, and he's got good survivability. Now we've got Eichelberger. Now this is someone who I don't really use at all. I've never really gotten on with him. I had to use him in a video I just uploaded because he's my only American artillery general. I mean, I'm not going to use Bradley, am I? But he's not really useful for much. He's a bit like the Tolbukin of artillery, but he's not that good at anything. I mean, his damage output's similar to that of like Lieb, so he's not that special. It's just this attack guidance perk that he has. I'd say Yeryomenko is probably a more he could probably do more damage than him. In fact, you know, I'll just budge him up in the order actually. Fuck you, Eichelberger. Yeah, Yeryomenko, he's actually a pretty effective general. I overlook him a lot of the time. But to get him with Tolbukin is a pretty insane purchase. I don't really regret any purchases on this list, except I do definitely regret this one. Williams is the one guy I would sell in a heartbeat. If I could, I wouldn't even want the money back. I would accept the medals, but I would actually just dismiss him fully because I think he was the first purchase I ever made, and he's absolutely dogshit. I saw this perk and I was just drawn in. I'd never really played much of the game before, and I saw this perk and I thought, you know, he must be amazing, and then I bought him and then I used him and I realised he was absolutely terrible. He doesn't even have artillery leader, instead he has this shitty perk and explosives. He's terrible. Do not buy Williams. Never ever buy him. He's absolutely terrible. And he just looks like a bit of a nonce. We've got Simo. He's a fun guy to use. You don't need to buy him, but he's very fun if you want to use him. I've enjoyed his ace sniper perk. Now I get a lot of questions about this guy, Cunningham. He's the best naval general by a long shot. He's got the best damage output by anyone and very good survivability. He costs a bit of money, obviously. I mean, all of these lot do. But I think he's one of the more worthwhile purchases, and while Navy isn't the most important thing in the game, there's certain events where he can be quite useful. The Pearl Harbor event it makes it a lot easier when you've got someone like Cunningham on your team. Now, Speronch is someone that I don't actually see many people ever use or buy, but he can be very good with the aircraft carriers. I use him a lot of the time just to fire missiles, so I'll either put him or Spats down in Frontier when I'm just trying to spam through the missions, or near the end of a conquest I will just put him on a city and use missiles because he has very good attack and he has the inspection perk. And he's mostly just an air general. He only has 5-star air, but it's not that big of a deal. Now Spats, this guy, you don't need to get this guy at all. I only bought him because he makes the end of conquests so much faster. His ability to always avoid anti-air means that it's just easy to take those little cities that you can't be bothered sending troops over, and sometimes normal air force without a general can just take a long time. That's the main reason I got him. I just use him to finish conquests up faster. Richtofen, on the other hand, he's quite a different sort of general. He's more of a fun general to use. He's a bit wacky. He doesn't really make much sense. And this whole 50% thing is a load of shit. It doesn't seem like it's 50%. It might be. But yeah, no, he's a weird one. And we've got Arnim, who I don't use. I used to use him. I used to have a lot of stuff on him, but I needed the medals. And I wasn't interested in keeping him all suited up. But yeah, that's all of my paid generals. I wouldn't recommend buying any. You can easily win the game without buying any. If there was one singular thing I would recommend spending any money on, then it would be the Tolbukin and Yeryomenko double pack. It's the best value for money you can get, as people like Manstein are even quite expensive, but Tolbukin and Yeryomenko are both very good generals. So if you're going to buy anything, I'd spend it on that. But yeah, that's the in-app purchase generals. Now, if all you came here to watch was the general builds, then click off now, but I'm going to show them the stats and the elite force levels as well. So I'll look at my elite force levels. Now, I have actually bought some packs of elite forces. I don't think I've bought any infantry ones though, so these are all pretty normal. I've not been able to grind events properly, so a lot of my things are quite behind though. So the medic, it should be level 9 by now. But yeah, this is my infantry levels. I still haven't even unlocked the engineering unit, but I just haven't been able to grind events properly. It'll be more obvious now that I've clearly bought levels of elite forces with this page. But yeah, even my T-44 is only level 7. It should be level 9 by now. But as I said, I've not been able to grind events every week. I've got a lot of other stuff on in my life. I'm a full-time student, and I also work, so it's a bit difficult to always get these videos out, and on top of making the videos, actually play the game, whereas a lot of you guys can just play the game and not have to make any videos. But yeah, this is all I've got. I recently got the 30 Abram pieces from the battle pass, which was nice. But yeah, that's the tanks. This is the artillery. Again, the priest should be a lot higher. It's very poor. But yeah, these are my levels. I know a lot of you have been very curious just to see it all at once. I don't know if I've bought any naval stuff. I might have once or twice. I don't remember. But yeah, those are my Navy ones. And these are my Air Force ones. Now I will say I have actually bought a lot of this stuff with medals I've gained from missions, because my generals are already sort of fully upgraded. I just spend all my medals on the Elite Force pieces, which if you don't know you can buy in this part of the shop. I sort of just spend all my medals over here. That's how I get most of my pieces. That's how I got all my RPG bits, and it was very worthwhile. But anyway, that was my Elite Forces. This is the remaining ribbons I've got, if you care about that. Yeah, let's look at the general stats. I'm not really sure how you're meant to do this. I'm just going to go off max damage and go down, I think. Or maybe, I don't know, is defeated troops the best thing to go off? I don't really know. We'll do max damage, I guess. Yeah. Now, a lot of these won't be as high as yours or something like that, because I've not used him with the best stuff on the best troop in the best circumstance. I don't care if you've got a higher damage than me. Well done. But anyway, this is all the ones. I'm not going to talk too much about them. I'll just click on them and show you them. This is in order of highest damage, so somehow Rommel is my highest damage ever tanker. You can tell that I've clearly not... I have no idea, actually. I don't know. I've got no explanation for how Rommel's up there. I mean, I've got Horton on 1029, and that's more than Cunningham. You know? It's crazy stuff like that. So that's those ones. Keep going down. Darlin, Weidling. Zhukov actually quite low down. I mean, I think the damage does help to sort of contextualize to an extent like how good the generals are in comparison to each other. But I mean, some of it's stupid. Like, you can see here, Monty's higher than Chernikovsky, which is obviously a bit dodgy. I wouldn't say he is that much better. But I mean, it also depends on what I've actually been using on them ribbons wise, and what, like, elite forces. I'm not sure how Wittmann's actually so low down. Max damage 513 is crazy. That's so low. Oh, List, rest in peace, List. I got rid of that guy. Meretskov, Pavlov. Oh, Breda. I got rid of him. He was here for a brief time. He actually was used quite a lot. He just hasn't done anything. Williams, complete dog shit. Oh god, these are all the people I've dismissed. Hoth. Yeah. Oh, Higuchi, I used him a lot. Yeah, 5 conquests he was using. Stunning. I mean, MacArthur, he was using 14 and he never actually made it because he just didn't reach any of those things. Leslie, wow. I forgot I even owned some of these guys. And I even owned Auchinleck once. That's crazy. Any others? Oh, yep. Surah? I don't know how you say this guy's name. I don't even remember owning him. And that's it. How was it? Number defeated troops? Yeah, so these are my most used generals then, I guess you could say. I mean, someone like him, he's been using 45 conquests and 242 levels, but he doesn't really destroy any units. I'd say he's one of my most used. Well, 242 and 45. It's almost as many as Manstein, but yeah, Manstein's my most used one. 10,000 defeated. Abrams has actually been used a lot more than I thought, and I don't even use him nowadays. Guderian's actually soon to overtake Manstein. I'm not sure if it'll happen though. But yeah, that's all my general stats. I know a lot of you have been asking for that, and obviously the build that I'm using and who I'm actually using. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. I want to say thank you again for helping me get to 1,000 subscribers, and if you're not subscribed and you're still watching, then please subscribe and like the video. And yeah, thanks for watching.